Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first in what I hope to be many interviews and Russian discussions. Today we have Smitty. Hi, Smitty.
Hello from Canada.
Okay, so I asked on the forums and stuff some questions and got some rather bizarre questions, which I'm not sure we'll ask, but we'll see where we go. So first of all, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell the world who you are.
Well, I'm a mid-30s nerdy engineer from Canada, and I suppose I got into rations when I was a little younger. The uncle who served and actually until recently was serving in the Canadian Armed Forces, he would send us rations and we'd eat them and nerd out. And it wasn't until later where I needed something. Something to do, something to pass the time when I didn't have as much free time as I was accustomed to, and this kind of filled the niche. So, yeah, and I don't know. It's probably been about maybe 2 years collecting now and tasting and making some YouTube videos.
I love the way you say collecting. It's almost like you can't help yourself when you see them. You think, "Oh, that's a good deal." I don't get it.
I think that's probably part of the attraction, right? The little hits of dopamine when you see that eBay.
Yeah, especially when it's something a bit on the rarer side.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And then you try your butt off and stay up way too late and spend way too much money.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that. I think we're definitely all guilty of that. So, I mean, what's been your favorite Russian you've tried so far? I mean, obviously you said that you have been having Russians for ages due to your family member being in the forces. But do you have that one Russian, whether it be from the past or the present menu sets, that you would just constantly eat? Not that you should, but you would.
Yeah, that one might be a tough question. I got a bunch of different ones running around in my head, in the sense that there's rare ones that I would love to try that that just keep popping to the forefront. But like, if you were to be like, you have to eat this, for a while, I'm kind of a simple kind of guy, and I'd probably go with the Canadian IMP. The beef macaroni is actually one of my favorites. Used to be called the Chinese style beef macaroni, and I don't know, it's just good.
Yeah, that's good to hear that it's one of your home country rations. I mean, bringing stuff into the UK at the moment is absolutely crazy. I've only managed to have one of the light Canadian patrol rations, which was really good. But yeah, I do like the Canadians.
Yeah, they're the best. They're definitely kind of a mid-road, and they do get kind of monotonous, especially in later years. The menu's kind of stagnated, and you're like, oh yeah, they just changed the trail mix. That's excellent.
Yeah, and giving it a swanky new name, just to make people think that you've changed it. I think the USMRE went through a stage of that as well, didn't they?
I think so. Yeah, there's definitely some names that came and went, and I do find that they kind of mix things up a little bit more, and a little more consistently.
Okay, so we've asked what was your favorite one, but what was your worst one?
Oh geez, I opened a 1999 Canadian IMP that was absolutely rotten, but that one brings back memories. But I think probably was I think it was a 1979 US MCI meal combat individual, I think. Yeah, I'm not memorizing that. It gets late, my brain goes a little slower, but that was an experience. That wasn't like, it was all rotten going in, and I knew that, but the smells and the sights of that, like, it's so vivid in my mind's eye right now.
It's something you'll never forget. Something will trigger the smell, and you'll immediately rush back to it. So that's the weirdest part of it. I remember one year I tried to do a ration a day for the whole of December, and it's some of the smells. And you open the packet, and you're like, that smells like exactly that thing I had yesterday, but it's supposed to be completely different. It brings back some, as you say, vivid memories, which are not always the best ones.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's one experiment I've yet to try is the long-term consumption of it, because in reality, we as ration enthusiasts or ration heads are our hype is a lot higher than any of the armed forces personnel that actually have to subsist off this stuff for any length of time. And that probably is about as close as us filthy civvies get to really getting the true meaning behind the rations as like a long-term consumption project like yours. That's awesome.
Yes. I mean, as you say, we review them, we talk about them and stuff. We skip a dinner and have a ration if we're reviewing it or so on. But yeah, I should imagine it could be quite a challenge if you're having to eat them, as you say, on the regular, on a couple of days deployment or something like that, where you rely solely on these. It's got to be quite a challenge on your internals as well as your externals. I mean, I guess your family, your relative will be able to attest to that more than anything, with how that takes a toll on the entire insides.
Oh yeah, and talking to these guys too. I mean, that's a lot of the stories is like, just why do you want to eat these, right? Like that it amazes them, and I think in part horrifies them that we fetishize some of this stuff, but it is pretty fun.
You get this weird sort of like look at people when you tell them about the hobby, and but you're eating food that's 30 years old. Surely that's disgusting. It's like, well, no, not all the time. Sometimes it's still actually edible. I mean, they were made to be stable, but maybe not so stable as in 30 years. Something from the 1970s, as you say. It's all down to storage conditions, and the way the world is at the moment. You're seeing a lot more people do the whole prepping type thing, I think. So food storage has become more of a popular topic rather than the weird people.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think that we end up with a very a robust ration supply out of the United States, right? Like, I don't know if Canada, we got a small population, and I'm not sure if the UK, if you guys have a whole lot of actively used bunkers that people are moving into, from the Blitz, but the US has that culture, and it kind of gives us quite a bit of a supply.
Yeah, I mean, the US, you always see, whether it be on forums, eBay, wherever, you always see loads of rations changing hands over in the US. In the UK, we see bunches of rations come up through the year. So you're suddenly getting an influx on like eBay and local selling sites like Facebook, and then it will go quiet again for a couple of months, and then I'm assuming it's rotation of stock, that they're getting rid of stuff that's reaching end of life sort of thing, or I don't know what their requirement is, but I imagine it's the same with Canada as well. As just rotation.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Canadian Armed Forces doesn't want the civilian population having these. That they will destroy them before they
get out to the general public. Which sometimes you beg the question of how they get out.
yeah, it's probably I always figure every single case I get has fallen off the truck somewhere. So
along the road, just bounced off.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the other situation we face is currently with the whole pandemic and stuff, you're also seeing a lot of homeless people and stuff on the streets. I don't know what it's like in Canada at the moment, but there's a massive influx of people where they've lost their homes. Some of the people still work while they live on the street, but it could be that instead of destroying these rations, we could give them to charities, homeless charities, whatever, and they could be issued in inverted commas to the homeless because they've got the heating element and whatnot inside them. A couple of bottles of water, might just give them that hot meal.
Yeah, well, it is kind of shocking. I live in a fairly warm environment in Canada. We're semi-arid here, and the homeless population is rather large because of that. Because our winters are not, a sustained minus 30 for, a couple weeks at a time. So, yeah, but I've always thought about that. But half the time approaching some of these people, it's rather shocking. You
don't know the response you're going to get from them.
Yeah, although I have heard there is one guy in our community, Viper, who does post every now and then. If he sees a veteran, a homeless veteran, he's been known to give them some MREs and all that, and he does say that they do enjoy that. So.
Yeah, so much it brings back some happy, hopefully, memories rather than disturbing ones. Our forces go through a hell of a lot of traumatic stuff, and I think sometimes that the support isn't there for
sure.
our armed forces. Compared to the US, the UK's army is like minuscule. As far as I'm aware, the numbers are heavily in the US. But a lot of the stuff, as far as I'm aware, in the UK, I'll put my hands up to anybody who's listening that is going to tell me I'm wrong. It seems to be a lot more charity based in the UK. And from what I understand in the US, it's more government based, for the military personnel. I may be wrong. If I am, I'm happy for someone to point me in the right direction.
Yeah.
But they're doing a hard job in a hard climate currently. With countries pushing the boundaries and home nations pushing boundaries and stuff. It's a difficult world for the armed forces to live in, I think.
Sure enough, yeah, I know the Canadian Armed Forces for sure. The support that a lot of them are receiving is veterans in particular. Not even to talk about their problems with procurement and replacing outdated technology and equipment and all that, but the veterans for sure, the government hasn't lived up to their obligations coming off of the Afghanistan missions, and even now, it's still a hot button topic. We've got interpreters, the Afghani nationals that veterans are trying to take out of the country, and the government is moving fairly slow, trying to get them out of there. And it's probably going to become an election issue, is our handling of veterans and PSD and mental health in the armed forces. So
that's the big one, isn't it? Mental health. It's one of those buzzwords at the moment, and it's something that's been a taboo for a very, very, very long time in the world. Mental health. It wasn't so long that they used to just lock people away if they were depressed or so on. So I think it's a good thing. There's a story a couple of years ago in the UK where the parents of soldiers were actually buying the equipment that's supposed to be issued by the UK armed forces and shipping it over to Iraq and Afghanistan and places like that to kit their boys out. Like they were going to these surplus stores or army supply stores and buying clothing, helmets and stuff like that and shipping it out. And when the civilian population, not through taxation, is having to clothe and protect your army, that raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, true enough. And that's why it's just I guess that's what I find so fascinating. Like, to circle back about food in the army, they do attempt to please as many folks as they can, for sure. Long gone are the days of hardtack and bully beef.
Yeah.
But,
So we've asked what your worst ration is. Did I ask you what your uniform ration is? I can't remember. We've been chatting for such a long time. I've sort of disappeared off my question list.
yeah, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. So I mean, what would be your ultimate ration you're looking for?
I guess my unicorn ration, my the one that I'm searching for the most and regularly is the pre 1980 pre 1982 rations in the Canadian Forces, which were the IRP, the individual ration pack instead of the IMP. And I'm not the information is abysmal. I spend a lot of time trying to pull data from the archives and all that, but I would love to find one of those. I've seen one in a video of an abandoned house, and somewhere in Ontario, some guy found it as he was going through it, and I'm just like, oh, come on. But gives me hope that they're out there.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing about doing this sort of stuff is, the modern stuff is great, but it's more of a historical documentating of older stuff, to see where we've come from. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different facets to, a lot of different avenues that one can kind of take with this ration. Not only just trying out foreign rations and all that sort of stuff, modern stuff, and getting the latest and greatest, being quote first on YouTube. But then there's the how old can you go crowd, and just amazed that you can eat like a fudge bar out of a C ration from the Vietnam War, or
and it still looks perfect.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of a collector on it too, right? Looking for those very rare, get on the K rations that are, intact, get some of the more rare manufacturers and all that stuff. Like, you go down an absolute rabbit hole for this, for sure.
Oh, it's and I think that's what's pushing the prices up, when you're just buying them regardless of whether they're those rare ones or not. Because we know that some menus were only available for 1 to 2 years, especially in like USMREs and stuff like that, or the older stuff, the MCIs. So that, I think that pushes up the prices more than anything.
Oh man, you could imagine though, like, just the horror on a veteran's face when they find out that you can sell a cheese, like a vegetable cheese omelet, the dreaded vomlet of US MRE fame, for like $60 US, right? Like, it's becoming a bit of a collectible.
Or the four fingers of death, Again, everyone slags it off and says, oh, it's a terrible ration, but everyone wants to try it to say they've tried it. So it's two sides of the same coin, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe there's a reason why the what's the name of that MCI that most of the soldiers hated in the Vietnam, lima beans, I think.
Oh, that sounds like rough.
MFers,
right?
Yeah, just I've never seen one, but I guarantee you people have collected it just because it was so,
wrong,
reviled. Yes, for terribleness.
Yeah, exactly. It's somewhere that we're hoping that there's a massive warehouse, temperature controlled, of all these in, that will someday make it out into the world.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, obviously, you said your favorite Canadian ration. Do you have a favorite international one? Doesn't have to be UK, even though that's where I am. But do you mean like?
Yeah. do I pander to the interviewer and say that the UK rations are the best ever?
I'm just going to delete this now.
Exactly. Cut. But yeah, like I think like in terms of just being like the one that hits a lot of check boxes for me is like the Lithuanians.
Yeah.
You know, they're cheap, they're filling, they're kind of comprehensive. The sides are a little boring, but the mains are just stellar.
Yeah.
And I really like them.
Very filling. Very
Total.
filling.
Yeah. Canadian once said he's just like, this reminds him of something his grandmother used to make, right? It's got that profile of like wholesomeness, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, and I think that must be nice for the military personnel. You know, tuck into something that's home, what feels homemade, gives you a little bit more comfort than something that looks like and tastes, smells like it's been mass produced by a chemical factory.
Yeah, and that probably comes out depending on which country you get into. Like if you know, these are almost boiled down, literally and figuratively. You know, boiled down representations of a country's cuisine and what their soldiers like. And like you look at the US stuff and you're like, this is all just junk food. Well, they're feeding 20-some, 18 to 20-some year olds. Like, yeah, it's gonna be hugely popular.
I suppose you're right. Yeah.
Heavy on sugar,
Well, you get Pop-Tarts in them, don't you? And pretzels and M&Ms and stuff. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, the sugar is a good morale boost. When you need that quick hit. So I can see the warrant in having that stuff in there. But yeah, I agree. I mean, look at the French stuff with the what is it? It's got cranberry with it. Is
it the ostrich?
That's the one. Yes. That's very fancy. Well, to an English palate anyway. To a UK palate, to have that in a ration sounds very, very fancy. Exactly. Whether that is or not, I don't know.
Until you guys can figure out how to get fish and chips and mushy peas into a bag, yeah.
I should take a look at Saturday nights in any local town to work out how to get it all into a bag and one ginormous mess.
Oh,
that would answer the question.
Yeah.
So, from your point of view, I mean, what reviews have you got coming up? Got anything in the pipeline?
Oh, it's been a little bit crazy. I've been doing a lot of different things that have been dragging me away from just having time to do YouTube. Not only being a parent to 2 kids, I was a business owner. I've since sold that business and I'm transferring everything over. So it's been a bit hectic for that, and just feel like you're getting pulled in a million directions. So there are a couple that I want to do. There's the one I really want to get out, the one that I've been kind of obsessing about is a history of Canadian IMPs. The various changes, just a brief summary.
Yeah.
And get that documented. And then I've got a bunch of late 1980s, early 1990s Canadian IMPs that I don't have in my spreadsheet system that I record everything, all the menus and contents. And that I am definitely itching to get underway.
Sometimes it's just finding the time to record, edit, and everything else when life is putting you around. Would you say that's the hardest thing for you? Time?
There are people that I used to edit in maybe 2 hours or so, just look for gaps and rip it out and all that. I know some people do that too, but other people, it can take 14 hours for them to edit a video. And I wish I had that time. That recently, even the 2 hours has become too much. And the last 2 videos I put out have just been slammed together on my iPhone, probably 20 minutes worth of actual edit time, a quick check, watch, and upload. So, yeah.
I mean, is that what you'd say is the hardest part of making these review videos is just the time, not actually recording the video, but the post processes that you have to go through?
I would say that, yeah, you take probably 30 to 60 minutes worth of footage, maybe a little longer for 24-hour rations, which is why I don't actually do 24-hour rations anymore.
Yeah.
It's 3 times the commitment, and then you've got to somehow condense all that footage into, realistically, a 15-minute video is almost too long. Viewership is tough to, or viewer attention's tough to maintain for that long. So, you take 30 to an hour to get this thing out onto a tray, as they say, and a little bit of cleanup, but yeah, it's the post afterwards, and depending on what you're doing too. Like, there are people that do this for a little fame and notoriety, maybe a little bit of money, and don't begrudge them that. But like, personally for me, it's just something fun to do, and as long as if it starts feeling like a chore, I kind of start bucking and trying to find ways around it. So
yeah, I mean, foremost it's a hobby, and you need to enjoy it while you're doing it. There's no point, if you're getting bored of doing it. It's when you see these really big sort of YouTubers that have got multi-millions of subscribers, and then they suddenly just disappear and say, guys, I've had enough. I spend my life is either with a camera in front of my face or a laptop in front of my face. These daily vloggers, and I think it's a real thing of burnout. You just have too much.
True enough, yeah. When it becomes about the paycheck and the money, and you start obsessing over those viewer numbers and ad revenue and all that, yeah. And then we're operating on a platform that doesn't seem to appreciate its content creators half the time, right? There's a lot of out there about the way they handle things.
Yeah, I mean, recently with the is it the child protection stuff that was switched on automatically on YouTube, or family stuff? A lot of content creators got their videos blocked due to some algorithm somewhere working out that it was not suitable for children, and so on. And these are videos of like people that daily vlog with their dogs running around a park. It's a crazy situation. So, I mean, this is sort of wrapping up now. So, do you want to tell everyone your YouTube channel, and how to get in contact with you?
Yeah, for sure. Smitty MRE is kind of is like, it's just Smitty, but if you search for Smitty, I guarantee you will not find me. There are a lot of famous people that like that name as well. So Smitty MRE seems to pull up the channel. Although that does annoy me in the sense that it's MRE and not ration. I should have made that change early. But yeah, no, I'm on there. I'm not on the gram. I'm not on the Facebooks anymore. Yeah, it's primarily on there, and look for substandard content and maybe something new about rations. So,
well, that wraps up the interview. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope there'll be some more coming your way. Once again, thanks, Smitty, for your time. And it's currently, I think, reaching midnight over in Canada, so I will let you get off to bed.
And yeah, I shouldn't probably be playing with ammunition this late, so I will heed that advice and get rolling. Thanks so much for having me.